Hi. Today we're going to go through some marketing analytics, specifically marketing ROI and what if analysis. But before we do that, I thought it'd be a little bit more informative to start on sort of an operational dashboard, our media spend analytics dashboard, which consolidates our sales information along with our marketing spends in various channels, sort of get a sense of the returns, how much we're investing in various areas, regions, or geographies, and what are the sales returns and impacts on sales due to these marketing events. So here's an operational dashboard along those lines. We basically blended the two data sets together. This is actually like syndicated data that a lot of companies can buy from outlets like Publicis or what's not called Publicis anymore. It'll be, I think, like Spark Analytics and Nielsen, essentially. You can start getting a lot of insights by blending these types of data together. You can see that essentially we're focusing our attention on a few DMAs across the country. It's all we had data for. DMA is like a designated marketing area in sort of a region established by Nielsen focused on population centers. So they're not quite like states, but they're a little bit bigger than counties. These are the ones that we could blend the sales and marketing information for. And what's interesting is that some DMAs may be doing well in sales. Some are colored green around here, like Las Vegas, for example, Portland, and some are colored, like they're not doing so well. So sales is not a positive growth. Here in Portland, it's plus 5.7%, and here in its neighboring region of Seattle, it's actually down 10%. Kind of similar regions. So why would sales be doing well in one area and not so well in a neighboring area? Well, a lot has to do with sort of the way we go to market these various locations. Another example here is, for example, Dallas. Right, Dallas is sort of doing well, plus 11% up in sales, down 8% in Budweiser, but certainly making up for it with Corona. Huge growth in Heineken, although it's not a huge sort of seller at the moment, and huge growth in Modelo, huge growth in Stella as well. Whereas its neighboring region of Houston is also down in Budweiser, down overall 6%. Corona's down, and that the rest, Heineken, Modelo, and Stella, is growing at comparable rates. So like what's happening basically to Corona in Houston to pull down this market compared to Dallas? Our media spends, the right hand chart here on these pop-ups, looks pretty good, right? I mean, we got sort of 11% increased spend versus last year. Network spend on network TV is down. We invested a little bit more here in Houston in Spanish network, Spanish cable, about 20%. And if I go back to Dallas, seeing a lot bigger investment in Spanish network, up 75%, Spanish cable 50%. So maybe that has something to do with it. That starts to tell you, that the way you're spending your media dollars here has maybe a slight impact on your sales, enough to sort of swing markets around. That's sort of the context for our what if analysis dashboard. Now imagine you're a CMO. You have to plan your marketing spend for the upcoming year. You have to understand what are the drivers of my marketing on sales, like what are the most efficient channels that I can spend in. Well, all of that, in order to answer those questions efficiently, needs to be modeled. Traditionally, this was done with marketing mix models, like in Excel back in the 80s and 90s. I think a lot of companies are still doing that. But these days, we have more sophisticated sort of tools and analyses at our fingertips. A lot of machine learning models are perfect for this if you have enough data for it. And the reason is because there's a lot of nonlinearities in these data sets that these machine learning models can really pick up on, that a neural network could describe perfectly. So we have a model essentially that ties our investments in various media channels like network TV, Spanish network, Spanish cable, and ties it to our impact on sales. And this is all tied together in this dashboard here. presented with some sliders that allow us to effectively do a what if analysis and to sort of play games and plan for certain scenarios and understand what are the most efficient channels and drivers that we can lever in order to improve our sales while sort of keeping our budget relatively the same. Like, can we be a little bit more efficient with our spend? That's the question here. So all of this is tied together with a model. There's the model. We came up with that. It is a linear model because this is Tableau Public, and we can't really, put a more sophisticated model underneath the hood here. We came up with that just by running a linear regression. But we could equally, plugged in if we had TabPy or the R plugin, we could come up with our own plug in our own machine learning models. We could reach out to Data Robot. We could reach out to Einstein Analytics with a simple Python script to sort of pull in more sophisticated models. Because as you can see, the sort of predicted sales versus the actual sales is a little bit scattered. It's not like a great model, but it's not terrible here for a first example. So what can we do? Well, I'm the CMO. Essentially, my job is to, improve and help our sales in any way I can, but not spend that much more money. So I wanna allocate my dollars wisely. I want to understand what is the most efficient sort of way for me to spend my money. And what I could do, and I know this because I studied the model. I know I could take out a little bit of network TV. Let me take out some spend in my network TV channel. Okay. Oh, the dashboard just refreshed there. Give it a second. Let's do that again. Put it at like 0.8. Okay. And what happened was everything adjusted. So this is the model. I took out money from my media investment, right? So my original media spend, which was like 1.6 million dollars, almost 1.6. I think that's in units of thousands. So $1 billion went down, by $500 million. Like that's a lot. So my media budget went down almost 30%. But because the data is tied together, I can't influence, I can't change one thing and not change my sales. The data is tied together. If this was just a dashboard with sliders, nothing would happen to sales, but the data is tied together. So now if I take out money from my investments and, I take out especially 30% of my media, I'm predicted to have like an 8% drop in my sales. And that's no good. I don't want that. Sure, I save money on my marketing budget, but my sales are also tanking. That's fine. Let's take a little bit more out from cable TV as well, right? And I'm just, making it worse. And now I'm down 15% in sales, and then I just spent, like basically only half of my budget. But what I know is that there's more efficient channels to essentially spend in, right? You could see it sort of here, the before and after picture. There's more efficient channels, so I can spend a little bit more on sort of these Spanish networks, Spanish cable channels. I could start to ramp these up. And what we see is that we start to claw back some of that drop in sales quite aggressively, right? With a modest increase in our media budgets. These are more efficient sort of marketing channels, which is essentially like a universal theme that we've been seeing across a lot of clients and a lot of sort of national clients across that sell in various markets. Spanish ethnicities, the Hispanic component and demographics are growing at a very rapid pace, and it does well to sort of invest in some of these markets. So, for example, if we totally drain some of our network TV and cable TV sort of spend, but took that money, invested it instead in Spanish focused Spanish cable TV, Spanish network TV, you can see that for relatively like almost the same media impact, we could predict like an 8% increase in sales. And that's the type of analysis we wanna facilitate and help. We make it come to life here in the front end of the dashboard, but it's all tied together with this prescriptive model underneath the hood that not only shows you operationally what's going on with your data, but allows you to play these different scenarios and answer, not just what happened, but what could we do better, and how can we do it? And it allows you to sort of optimize your business in this way. And that's what's great about making advanced analytics come to life, sort of embedded underneath the hood of these dashboards. So we hope that was helpful, and we'll catch you in the next one.